Well, it's kind of hard to refer back. It's already a Wednesday for us, preparing for this week of playing Friday. But um, obviously, any game you win is a great game. But I think really, as we dove into it, I think the performance was really well too. And I think that's where we're kind of getting to, is that really trying to evaluate our performance and how we do offense, defense, and special teams. And as a whole, really clean. Obviously, we maybe had a little bit issues here and there, but as a whole, the ability to play like it is, like we did, um, to feed off of each other. I think being able to run the football really helps us defensively, especially we maybe scrambled a little bit there late in the game or late in the second half, but our offense really kind of honed things back in and gave us an opportunity to kind of regain momentum even defensively. So it was great. Now we've moved on. Obviously, with a Friday night game, things happen a lot faster. And more than anything, we're excited about this last guaranteed opportunity for this senior class to play in Nippert Stadium.
We'll go ahead and open up to questions. Chad, you want to lead us off, please?
Sure, Coach. How weird is this senior night being November 10th and still a month left in the regular season? Has it been kind of hard to get your brain around? This is the last game at home for these seniors.
This is 2020. It's hard to get your brain around any. I mean, I didn't even think about senior night. I mean, they kept bringing it up to us. I'm like, we can't have parents on the field. It's so unique. It's different. But we want to have some way of honoring these guys and saying thank you. So it is what it is. It could have been earlier in the season for all intents and purposes, just to make sure these guys understand, how well respected they are, how much we appreciate them, and a senior night just in general is not going to do it. So at some point in time, we'll have to do a lot more for these guys. But hey, it is what it is. These guys are just like us as coaches. We're all right now accustomed to many different things, and whatever's thrown at us, we just got to be able to adjust and handle it.
Coach, I know there's still so much further you still want to go, but when we look at this senior class, how big is this group for the success and the direction that this program is headed?
It's huge. We kind of said that in year one. I mean, those seniors that left out after year one, we always kind of hit them with, hey, your leadership will be shown in the years to follow. It's hard sometimes in year one to see what kind of leaders you really had. And then, as you talked about that, the guys that were here from that start would be probably this group. And there's a few that were here before that are fifth year guys, but they're so critical in what it is we've done, and not just the play on the football field, but really kind of creating an environment, an atmosphere in a locker room that everybody hopefully enjoys. Obviously, winning brings a lot more joy and things like that, but that's not ultimately what these guys will remember about their time. They'll remember wins, they'll remember the times in Nippert Stadium, but I think that what they've done is had the ability to create a lot of different things that are stronger, and really in the long run help you perform better as well.
Coach, Houston coach talked about on Saturday they were even hesitant to take some deep shots on you and maybe do some of their normal offensive stuff because of how well you guys have played on defense. How are you seeing opposing offenses attack you, and how is it different than what you see from them on tape coming into the league?
I don't know. I think the thing about this league is the offenses are pretty. I mean, they do what they do. I think they, in the most part, believe they're better than everybody, which is a great thing. So I don't know that we've seen a ton of different things. I think because of some of the on-body coverage and some of the things we do, even with a three-man front, we might see obviously different things, little wrinkles here and there. But it's hard to tell because most of these teams are wide open in their offenses, and they've got some really good concepts and schemes. And I did not know that. I thought they took some shots down the field. Maybe they would have liked to have taken more, but felt like it wasn't advantageous. And I don't know that that's always the coverage. Sometimes what they did, they still took shots down the field. They just happened to max protect last week, which makes it difficult for those guys up front to get some pressure. And I think that's maybe where you've seen maybe some guys are a little bit different, that the shots don't happen maybe as much because our front guys have done a really good job.
Luke, do you think an expanded playoff would be good for college football generally?
There's no doubt. I mean, I don't know how exactly it happens, but I think it just brings a lot more into the fold. I mean, that's what everybody loves about. It's never going to be college basketball, obviously, with as many teams. But I think even going back to, it's not always the one or the two that ends up being the best, and especially at the end of the year. So I think it would add something to college football. I think it would add something to, to other shots, which I think gives some more opportunities for not just and I don't say just the top 2 or 3%, the guys that are notoriously always there. I think you would see some other things, and you would see some newcomers, and I don't just mean from our league but I mean even some other groups or guys inside the leagues that are going to have some greater opportunities, and you really get to see who's playing their best ball at the end of the year.
Do you think maybe that your team this year is kind of the poster team for that argument?
Well, it's not there yet, but at some point in time, I think there's going to be those talks. I just think it's great as a whole. I think that's what makes it. There's something about not that there's a smaller group, so that every game matters. But there's also something about you're never going to alleviate the controversy. If you go to 8, then 9 and 10 are going to be upset. But the reality is, I think it just brings a little bit more opportunities to college football, and I think it'd be a great thing.
Coach, redemption after a loss. Is there any such thing as redemption after a win when you look back at what ECU's offense was able to accomplish last year in Greenville? And you have to think those guys on your defense look back at that and remember almost 550 yards given up.
Thanks, Chad. I appreciate that. We haven't talked about it all this week. Actually, we took that out of the books. I don't even think it's on record anymore that game didn't happen. No, I think for us in general, we've kind of said this is a bit of a redemption tour. It wasn't just Memphis since they beat us twice. The act of trying to take something or gain something is still a championship, and for us in general, that's kind of the big picture. It's like it's a redemption tour. That whether it's ECU and the numbers they put up offensively against us last year, or if it was Memphis who beat us twice, it's still that ability to, hey, how are we going to take a championship? How are we going to go get a championship that we believe we have worked for and deserve? So it's a part of it. But no, things that happened last year don't go easily by the wayside, and things you don't forget. That's for sure.
During the game on Saturday, there was a graphic they showed on the screen, top 200 NFL prospects by schools in the top 10. They didn't rank any of you guys, any of the Bearcats, as top 200 guys. I'm curious, why is this team has gained more recognition? Have the individual players not necessarily seen that for themselves?
That's up to you guys. That's the media. That's things outside of our control. I mean, the beautiful thing is it doesn't really matter. It's if those guys want to play at the next level on draft day, the people that do the best job evaluating are the people that are actually going to spend the money on them. So I don't know that the media always does the best job. I don't know how much their livelihoods depend on them ranking the guys in the right way. But I believe there's some really good football players here. How high, how far, how whatever, I don't know. But I think that in order to have a great football team in general, it's not about do you have 1 or 2 or 3 great players. It's how do you work as a whole, and can those guys work together, and do you have some balance to what it is that you do? So I had no idea about that. I think that just like at the end of the season, it'll tell a lot. When it comes to draft day, those things will tell a lot too.
Coach, I'll ask a media question, I guess, to follow up with. Why would a top 10 team that wins by almost 30 drop a spot in the top 10?
I'm not in the media. Don't know. I don't even know. Did we? I don't even know how we voted it, but you know what? I think what it does, it's not a bad thing. I think it creates controversy. I think it creates some talking points. And what does everybody, I'm not saying all of you guys in the media, but what does a lot of the people, you got to create some ability to have some talking points. And if it continues to have our community talking about our football program and the things that they believe we should have, then hey, it's generating some buzz about us. We just got to continue to do our job. And at the end of the year, we'll see how things kind of fold out.
Does that give you any sense, though, that when it comes to the college football playoff committee, that you might have to start making, for some reason, have to start winning by 40, 50 points or making bigger statements on Saturdays or Fridays?
I mean, it could, but the reality is, when it comes down to it, they'll figure out who the best four teams are and who's playing the best at that time. And if there's bias, there's bias. Is it going to be difficult? I know this, that me pounding my chest and saying a whole lot about it's probably going to do nothing other than distract me and some of our guys. When in reality, that's probably not going to help us. So I'm going to leave it up to a lot of others to continue to do that, and we'll try to stay humble, hungry, and focused as much as we possibly can.
Hey, Luke, can you talk about East Carolina a little bit?
Yeah, obviously, I don't. It's a really good football team, and I'm surprised. Just like last year when we played them, sometimes the record is not, really indicative of the team. I thought that about Tulsa last year when they came in here, and they were a really good football team. I think this is a good balance. Obviously, what they did to us last year was, their offense, with throwing the ball the way they did and things like that. But I just think in general, they're a good football team. They're on the rise. They're in year two, obviously, with Coach, and you can see the development and the things that they're doing. When you've got a quarterback like they do, it gives you an opportunity every week. And that's not just to score more points, everybody. A quarterback that's playing well gives a lot of confidence to a lot of other people on the team, not just the offense, not just the receivers, but also gives a lot of confidence to the defense. And I see this, and I see them a bit on the rise.
Coach, I was looking at the film from last year. Obviously, I wasn't here, but a kid that really stood out was C.J. Johnson, like 6'2", 6'3", 240. I think he had 13 catches for 300 yards or something like that. When you look at the top weapons in this conference, is he one of them?
You and Chad got together to try to bring up all the tough ones, huh? Yeah, I mean, he was a freshman last year. Obviously, he had, I think, 13 catches, 250 whatever yards on us. The following week, he had 0 catches. I think he got hurt the following week, so I don't know if he, after our game, didn't have quite as much, whether he got dinged up or not. The thing about them is he doesn't have as many targets this year. They've got 2 other receivers. That one has 44 and one has 38. And I think he might only have 13 or 14. Yes, he is. I think he's a huge play guy. I think maybe this year, where they are right now, the other guys have maybe had a little bit of a hot hand, and some people are probably doing some different things to him as well. But it's another one of those crew that come in and you say, wow, they've got a really good nucleus of guys that can make plays and a quarterback that can get him the football.
Coach, you guys seem to be blocking really well on the outside, wide receiver and tight end. Have you seen that as well, and has that been any kind of point of emphasis or anything different this year?
No, I don't think it's anything different. I just think it's obviously we've gotten better at what it is that we do, and we've given ourselves an opportunity to maybe do it a little more because of what those guys have done on the edge, and hoping those things are kind of coming through and understanding that it's a part of being a wide receiver. It's a part of being a flexed out tight end. It's a part of anybody that's going to play on the offense. I think that's. Somebody asked me about Jared Dokes, and I said, well, I still think that some of the best things of Jared Dokes is the way he plays without the football in his hand. I know it doesn't get noticed, and it's the same thing as wide receiver. Sometimes some of the best things that guys got to do is play without the football in their hand. If that means blocking on the edge, that means blocking on the edge. And I think we've gotten a lot better at it, and it's shown.
Coach, I heard you on ESPN, I think midweek last week, talk about whoever the anchor was said something about a defensive-minded coach, and I think you kind of laughed and were excited that your offense has really come on this year. Can you just talk about Des and that offense and just being able to put up the points they have the last 3 weeks? How excited are you about seeing that come to fruition?
Well, like I said, it gives confidence to everybody. When a quarterback is playing the way he is, it gives confidence to special teams. I mean, just think about it. I mean, a lot of times you wouldn't try to return that ball at halftime, because just whatever the situation is. Let's go in. We're leading. Let's be smart about what we're doing. And it was, hey, let's see if we can get this thing out a little bit, because Coach Denbrock and those guys want to take some shots at this. We've only got 30 seconds, but we've got 3 timeouts. So I think it creates energy. It's not just in the crowd. It's not just in the fan base when you're scoring points because everybody loves it. I think it's in everything that you do. So it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, Dez is playing really well, and I think he's slowed some things down. But I also think our coaching staff has done a really good job at kind of honing in on the things we do well, continuing to enhance them, giving those guys some freedoms. As Dez does more and more and more, he gets probably some more leeway and some freedoms to be aggressive and take some shots. And I think all in all, it's just a group that's really kind of feeling well with each other and starting to kind of mesh and thinking for each other at times. I think that's a really good thing.
Coach, any updates on the availability of Alec Pierce and Arquan Bush after missing the Houston game?
We'll see. They'll be available. I don't know what they'll be available for, but they'll be available. If you want to talk to them, I mean, maybe after the game you can talk to them.
I appreciate that.
No, we'll see. It's we'll find out a little bit more today. See how guys respond after running around a little bit yesterday.
Luke, how much do you think greed interferes with opportunity in college football?
Well, there's a balance there. I tell our guys I want us to be greedy, and I mean that not in a negative way, but greedy to want more. And I don't. Like I said, greed is not a good thing. I'm not saying that. But greed, when you want more and are willing to go work for it, I think it's a really good thing. It keeps you motivated. And I think that's what I want our guys to feel like. As you start to have those great feelings about playing well and performing well, winning is a part of itself, but I'm talking about performing well and doing those little things well, that greed, so to speak, that gets within you that continues to motivate you to say, hey, wow, when I start to do these little things and do these things the right way, good things continue to happen. If that's the greed that you're talking about, that's the greed that I kind of stress to our guys, to let it be a motivator and to keep making you, move forward and enhancing what we're doing.
I was kind of talking about the greed of the Power Five interfering with the ability of the lesser folks, quote unquote, to advance.
I don't know what lesser folks are. I wasn't a little brother, but I had a big cousin that lived with us, and I never wanted to be the little brother, so I don't know what that is. And I had a little brother, and I never wanted to treat him like a little brother. But some people out there today, create names to kind of make them the bigger brothers. I don't know what that whole P and 5 really means. It means absolutely nothing. Are there other conferences that make more money? Yeah. But that shouldn't affect, anything about the play on the field. And I think it's just another one of those things that is created as, the big scheme of things of some people enjoy it and some people think it, makes them feel a little bit better about what it is that they do. Then it is what it is. But we try not to worry about it.
Luke, go ahead, Caleb.
What's that?
Luke, honestly, how sick are you of talking about the whole Power 5, Group of 5, little brother, big brother, whatever it might be? How sick are you of talking about that kind of thing?
I only talk about it when you guys bring it up. So other than that, I don't ever talk about it. It's not allowed to be said in our program. It's not allowed to be talked about in our program. So I don't spend a whole lot of time having to talk about it. It's a part of what it is. I think it also can be something that you try to find ways to keep you on edge. And I think it can be a thing that's a good thing for us, too, because it creates a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. Even though we don't believe in, anything like that and there's somebody bigger and better than somebody else because it's about performing. But sometimes it's in a way it can be a good thing. It keeps you motivated, keeps a little chip on your shoulder.
Do you have a message for the guys about like poll watching and whatever? You said that you're not allowed to talk about Power 5 and whatever, but what is your message to the guys about like when the polls are released and whatever?
No, there's some things you can't control. I mean, you'd be foolish to say don't watch. All we talk about is we got to find a way to stay hungry, stay humble, and stay focused on what we're doing. And we'd be naive to think that it's not something that everybody hears about and talks about and sees. But you just got to handle it in the right way.
I realize this is kind of a weird question, but apparently the TV timeouts have been a little bit longer this year. Have you felt that, and is there anything you do? I know you guys kind of huddle on the side of the field there, but
have you been talking to the players? The players said that to you, or is that is that official?
No,
is it real?
Oh,
really? I just tell our guys that's the price for greatness. When you guys keep performing well, and you're on ABC and you're on ESPN, when you're on Facebook, they probably don't have those long timeouts, so just enjoy it. don't use it as a negative. Soak it in, take a couple more deep breaths, and be ready to roll.
Any players held past the time?
There's some characters out there, but nonetheless, I think that we all find ways to pass the time differently, and the Lenny Taylors of the world and Josh Wiley's and some of those guys pass them a little bit different than maybe the way I do. And we'll leave it at that.